This is IBM Museum, and I still have a planer for the PS2 Mall 65SX bench behind me. And it's kind of funny because I've gone through a couple other unrelated videos tonight and went through and had to reduce the adapters that were on the planer. But this is actually solving a little bit of an issue in a way for me. I noticed by going through and either adding or subtracting an adapter. And let me get briefly just flipped around just to kind of show this a little bit of the setup I'm in. And of course, I left the structure for how I did with the previous video. I've got the adapters I pulled out of here, but I noticed I had this is the planer I was not able to get to boot from a perfectly good hard drive, and switching components around, treble adapters, the SCSI adapters, everything else around. And I think it still might be in the non-volatile RAM chips. I'll have to check a little bit more. And Major Tom has kind of given me a method to go through and check those. But I thought I'd let on a little bit to what I'm encountering. And I had the adapters just like the system I got from Edgar Digital, even though this is a different planer. I've got weights on the Sims besides them taped down, just trying to go through and hold them in place. And what I was doing was I had an additional adapter that I was trying to get what adapter ID that was. And I thought, well, I know that the system, even if it has the hard drive plugged into it, it's throwing me over to ROM BASIC. It doesn't boot from the drive. And to boot from the drive, I was having to go through and put a boot diskette in the diskette drive and then go through and switch over to the hard drive. And so I went through and I added the particular adapter, and I turned on the system. We can see all the postcode readers I've got there. They're not instrumental. It's more going to be more of a logic thing that's going to get me through this. And I'm going to go through and get back up on the screen here because it's going through and it's counting the RAM. And then it gives me the 165 error and that not okay. And the IBM symbol for RTFM. Pulling the book out, finding what's going on. Normally that wants you to go through and have, with a configuration change, to put the reference diskette in the diskette drive and go through and press F1. If you have the reference diskette in the diskette drive already, good drive, good diskette otherwise, it goes through and it automatically cycles through and will start to load that reference diskette. But I thought, well, the system, why go through and unplug the hard drive? I still have the SCSI adapter in there that IBM calls a Tribble, and the hard drive fully connected. Well, I don't have it powered on. That's one thing I did in previous videos. I unplugged the power. I can go through and on the fly here, you do this at your own risk. Okay. So we've got the drive under power now. And if I go through, I thought, if I press F1, it just goes through. It doesn't have any boot diskette. It's going to throw me into ROM BASIC. I can go through and type in that basic code to get the adapter ID. Well, when I press F1, and I can hear it try and cycle and access the diskette drive. The hard drive spins up. I was hearing that before, but it's booting from the hard drive. just that configuration change and pressing F1, and of course I don't have an auto exec bat, causes this thing to boot up the hard drive. Just the craziest thing that I'd ever heard of, and I'm going to have to go through and troubleshoot this a little bit more, because just by adding another adapter in the mix and getting that 165 error makes it so when I press F1 without having a boot diskette or anything else, it spins up the SCSI hard drive fine and goes through and boots properly. Go figure that. I don't know what's going on here. But if you thought my struggle was kind of humorous, informative, whatever, I'll learn a little bit more about it later on. Go ahead and click on that like button, and by all means, subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already. But this is IBM Museum. That's all I have for now. Thank you.